Massage therapist or masseuse, have you ever had a session turn sexual with a client? How did it go down? My mom is a massage therapist. She has worked at several chiropractic offices. Oftentimes, if you're good enough and trustworthy enough, the chiropractors will give you the keys, so you can see clients on the weekends. I once had to take an Uber to her work when she was scheduled to massage this one guy. He was married and new to the US. He had been sending messages to my mom, which made her question his intent, but chalked it up to him not speaking a lot of English. I get a call from her telling me to Uber to her place of work as soon as possible. Apparently the guy had sent a message with this code phrase that in the massage world means things are going to become sexual. So I'm the first to arrive. My mom gets there and tries to downplay the situation to make herself feel better by saying things like, well, maybe he just didn't know what that meant. I could be drawing a conclusion that isn't true. He has a wife after all. Man comes in with candy and flowers. He sees me sitting in the chair really confused. Hands them to my mom. She massages him. He pays her, gives me a sideways glance, and leaves. My mom was a massage therapist for a few years. Never shared when she had issues like that, but there was one couple who would come in for separate sessions about every 2 to 3 weeks. Apparently one day, the wife jokes that the massages are better than sex. My mom, since they are all on good terms, jokes with the husband about it the next time he's in. He pulls his head out of the pillow long enough to say, "Don't make me choose. I can't choose." Edit. He was saying he couldn't choose between sex with his wife vs a massage from my mom. Former esthetician here. Not a masseuse, but I performed waxing on all parts of the body, so I certainly have a story or two. So, there's the Brazilian wax, which is everything gone from your downstairs, front and back. Salons have a male version they cheekily like to call manzillions. I've had a number of these, and without fail, when it comes time to take the towel away and start, there's at least a semi-chub going on. I'd explain that this happens with everyone, as penises aren't very self-aware, they just know they are out, there's a lady, and they are just happy to be there. I'd then place my first strip of wax, let it set, then RIP, and it would be like letting the air out of a balloon. Strangely, I never got any phone numbers. Oh, and to do your butthole you have to be on all fours. I had a client start flirting with me while on my table. I reminded her that the session is purely medical and I'd like to keep the conversation about her and what she's dealing with. She stroked my leg once in a sexual manner and I threatened to end the session there if she tried something like that again. After that, the rest of the session was smooth. I take stuff like that pretty seriously. I'm not setting our profession back 30 years because some people think someone touching them means anything sexual. This was after a few years of no sexual anything with anyone, but regardless, I'm not throwing away years of hard work and risking a lawsuit over someone feeling frisky. A guy I know ended up dating his chiropractor. There was mild flirting for a few sessions, and then she messaged him to say that he would need to switch to getting treated by a different chiro at the practice. He was pretty disappointed until she hinted, because we aren't allowed to date our clients. Few weeks later, so, babe, Dr. Steven doesn't do that in a quad massage that you used to do. Was that? Yup. Totes Cineprobes 10/10 would injure back again. In 15 years, I've had 4 guys try to turn the session sexual. Grosses me out. I make sure to give their name and phone number to all of my therapist friends as a heads up, because if they tried with me, they're gonna try another therapist until they get lucky. I'm a physiotherapist, but I have extensive training in deep tissue massage and dry needling. Pretty much every time I treat my girlfriend it ends with sex. Probably the closest thing to a answer you're gonna get. You're probably not gonna hear any stories about people with licenses doing anything sexual with someone, as if it ever got out they would immediately lose their billing number. But I will say I've worked in a gym before where the RMT was sleeping with a few of his patients in and outside of the gym. My mom's a masseuse and she says there are a lot of instances where clients try to make things sexual, but she never reciprocate, but it can get pretty nasty. One time she told me that a dude asked her to massage down there and she refused, so he grabbed her boob and just kept his hand there for a while and my mom didn't know what to do so she just kept doing her job. There are also instances of people like calling to make appointments and ending the call with like, "Do you guys suck it?" because I guess they think they are being subtle. Other than that, there's a lot of unnecessarily sexual moaning, but my mom just thinks that's funny. Edit. Okay to everyone saying that they've moaned during a massage. I'm not talking about regular moaning. There's a level of that in most of my mom's clients and it's not a big deal like it happens. My mom's immune to it by now. What I'm talking about is like a couple of times people moan so loud that the entire store hears, and sometimes they'll get an erection. Happens more often than you'd think tbh, and say something that's the equivalent of "Are you going to do anything about this?" And when my mom is like nah, they tip her terribly. Everyone who gets a massage and moans, "You guys are fine." Most of my mom's co-workers see it as a compliment to their skills. 8. So I used to work at this massage in Florida. It wasn't anything fancy, but it did the job. And we had a couple regulars that would come in maybe once a week. So this one regular that always asked for me came in one day and we started the usual small talk while I was prepping my things. And he says that he just recently got out of a really bad marriage. Our massage place isn't one that does happy endings, but I've given a hand job to a client before. So this guy isn't bad looking, maybe 7/10, good job, nice car. He always tips nice. So towards the end of the massage he asks if he could get extra. I was confused at first and said, "You can always get a shampoo or go in our massage chair for extra $." He said, "No, I mean, can you do something extra?" At this point I know what he meant and I smirked. So he flipped over to lay on his back and face me, and I went to whisper in his ear Epstein didn't kill himself. My sister wife had a male client who after the session decided to jerk off when she left him to allow him to get dressed. She saw he had jerked off on her massage table and had gone through a lot of tissues trying to clean it up. So the salon issued a warning on his account to remove all tissues and towels from the room once the massage is done. My wife said it was the funniest thing when he came in again. After the massage she calls the front desk and 2 girls come in and take everything out of the room. He got dressed really fast and left in shame and never came back. Edit. Ha 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 ha, I didn't check Reddit for 6 hours and things went crazy. My sister wife is a joke between myself and my sister-in-law, my wife's sister. She knows my Reddit account. It's a story which is why I included it. My massage therapist told me of a time a very hot woman was in for the first time. He told her to undress to her comfort level and left for her to do so. Usually at this point you then lay down under the sheet, but he entered a few minutes later to find her sitting naked in a chair asking what she should do next. He gives more detailed instructions now. I had a very sweet female client face up and was massaging through her neck and occipital muscles the base of her skull when she leaned her face over and kind of pressed her cheek into my forearm and side nuzzled against me. She's just someone who totally zones out during massage, so while it wasn't overtly sexual, it certainly was an unusually intimate gesture. She snapped out of it in when I adjusted myself away from her cheek as soon as possible without being jarring and blushed with immediate embarrassment. Other than that, I have a few clients, male and female, who make oddly sexual noises, but no other obvious signs of arousal. With some of them, I'm prepared for the worst when I ask them to turn over onto their backs. I think some of them may be getting more out of the treatment than I intend, but nothing untoward has happened, although we have had some people ML and phone us to ask us if we do that kind of thing. If I wanted to jerk people off for money I could do that without going through 3 years of school and paying annual professional dues. My spouse, who is also a therapist, had a teenage male client of hers reach his hand out to touch her thigh while she was standing next to the table and she politely and firmly shut him down. That's about as bad as it's gotten so far. I had a massage therapist contact me on a dating app. He said he was using it only to get clients. But then he hinted that things could get physical, and if they did it was non-penetration only, and at that point it would be without a fee. Edit. He was clear that this was my choice and would be consensual. He hinted that he had had a similar arrangement with others at one time or other. I was single and was intrigued, but said no thanks on the sexual stuff, but his rates were good, and I have a back injury that needs work, that I can't afford, and since the conversation was mostly professional, and he had good advice, I went to see him a few times. A few things he did weird. He would drape in a way that he'd tuck the sheet under your pelvis so that your entire leg was exposed to the hip, and he's flex the leg outward to get the inner thigh muscles, which were often ignored with other massage therapists, but was very helpful that he got them. But you'd feel a draft on nether regions in spite of the draping. Also, he'd lean up against the table and I could swear his penis area of his pants was resting on my open hand while I'm on my belly, and I was too afraid to move my hand to check or in any way acknowledge my discomfort. Part of me was a little excited by the toeing the line of it, but most of me was really uncomfortable. I needed the massage work though, and he really was good and his rates were good. He ran his business out of a rented space in an office building, and it was just him, so I wanted to give him a chance. But one day he texted me, and I asked him if he could see what was going on under the draping, if he got glimpses of my privates, or if I was covered when he was doing my leg work. I'm on my back for this part, and his only response was a smile emoji, something like, or but I don't remember. That answer wasn't clear, and it left me feeling creepy. I decided to let it cool off a while. He contacted me asking if I wanted another massage anytime soon, and I told him I was broke and would contact him. That was the last time we talked. It's been a couple years and I don't know if he's still doing this. Oh, he did tell me that after a while he was banned from the dating site for solicitation of a private business on their format, which is true.